I'm always curious at universities when I see bollards up because it means that there's construction work underway or about to be underway. I'm very curious as to what's going to be going on here. Maybe in my next video, I'll be able to show you. Question mark. You know, when I'm traveling around Australia visiting universities, I'm always looking for things that are unique, and this I haven't seen anywhere in the country. In fact, I would be shocked if this exists anywhere else. This is the architecture building, and every undergraduate student at Bond gets their own desk here in the building for the duration of their degree. That is extraordinary. G'day and welcome to Choosing Your Uni. I'm Rob Malicki, and you know what else I love about my job is the fact that I get to find all of the unique things about different institutions as I travel around Australia. And today, I'm at Bond University on the Gold Coast, and what I'm loving about this institution is some of the absolutely unique things that you'll literally find nowhere else in Australia. Want to know what those things are? Let's go and find out. Well, let's talk about Bond University. The university was founded in 1989 and is now home to about 5,000 or 5,500 students spread across undergraduate, postgraduate and research degrees. What's fascinating about this institution is that it has an amazing mix of students that come here. About a third of students come from overseas, about a third of students are locals from here on the Gold Coast, and about a third of students come from interstate. And that's really unusual when it comes to Australian universities. There isn't a heck of a lot of mobility between different institutions and between different states. And so for Bonds to attract that many students from interstate really says that there's something kind of unique going on here at this institution. It's an institution that teaches quite a wide range of disciplines. It teaches architecture, it teaches actuarial studies, business, commerce, entrepreneurship, law. We have international relations, politics, criminal justice and criminology. We also have the arts is taught here, building and construction, and quantity surveying is also taught here at Bond. Outside of that, the university has quite a unique branding proposition, and it's one of the few institutions in the country that I really feel has a brand that speaks to people when they're looking at a potential candidate to come and get hired. So for example, it's such a small institution. One of the things that we hear quite a lot about Bond is the fact that the small class sizes is an advantage for students that want to come and study here. I've heard from many students that teachers actually get to know your name, and that particularly is an advantage when you're looking to get further in your studies and to do things like that. Alongside that, the institution has incredible facilities. Just walking around, I'm constantly blown away by the quality of what I see here. Everything from the buildings, the facilities for students, the sporting facilities are really second to none. I think when you look across the country, the facilities here are absolutely fantastic. There are lots of other disciplines also available here at Bond University. Particularly in health sciences, we have biomedicine and sports science, as well as medicine. And medicine is one of those disciplines that people will travel not only all across Australia, but all over the world in order to come and study at this institution. There are also other disciplines such as psychology, the social sciences are available here as well. When I think about what makes an excellent institution, to me, first and foremost, it's that an institution is serving the needs of its students. And that's definitely something that I see at this university, because one thing that I've constantly heard from students over the years is the fact that when you come and study here, you really feel like you're part of something. You feel unique. You don't feel like you're just a number. And I've got to say, in terms of that student experience, sure, you might be paying a little bit more for it, but at the end of the day, don't you want to have an experience that's actually unique to you? And if that's the case, then this could well be the institution that suits you best. And if that means that you need to move from across the world or perhaps from somewhere else in Australia to come and study here, I've got to say, there are probably worse places in Australia to come and study. The Gold Coast is magnificent. The lifestyle here is much more laid back than other parts of the country. It's warm pretty much year round. And of course, there are spectacular beaches and the beautiful Gold Coast hinterland full of bush. What does that lead to? To me, it means that you've got the opportunity to have a wonderful outdoor lifestyle, but also in an area where there's plenty of life in the city as well. The nightlife up here on Broadbeach and at Surfers Paradise is exceptional. And there's something here for pretty much everyone. If you also want to travel to other places in Australia, Gold Coast has the Gold Coast Airport at Coolangatta, but there's also the train which runs all the way up to Brisbane, and that's not that far away, only about 90 minutes on the train. And that gives you everything that an international world-class city has to offer. This place is quite unique in Australia in that it is a private university. Most of Australia's universities are public, and that means that there is more rigid oversight by the Australian government in some aspects. However, Bond University was Australia's first private institution, founded in 1989. What does it mean to be a private institution? Well, if you're at a public university and you're a local Australian student, the fees that you pay at that institution are regulated by the Australian government. That means the fees are capped, and a fair chunk of your tuition fees are actually subsidised by the Australian government. However, at a private institution, that's different. Bond University sets its own fees, and local students are able to access an Australian government subsidy, which is called Fee Help, FEEHELP, which is a scheme that allows you to borrow the cost of your tuition and to pay that back as part of your taxes once you start working. However, there's no subsidy from the Australian government for your tuition fees. You end up paying the full cost of your education. That does mean, in the long run, that you do pay more than if you attend a public institution as a local student. But what if you're an international student? Well, international students, regardless of whether they attend a public or a private university, have to pay their tuition fees directly to that institution, and there is no subsidy from the Australian government. That means as an international student, you are going to be paying the full cost of your degree, regardless of what institution type you are attending. Well, as a relatively small university, only 5,000 or so students, it also means that the number of students that have graduated from Bond University since its inception in 1989 is only around 30 to 35,000 students. And that meant that the university was actually able to create this beautiful sculpture, which is called Limitless. And on this sculpture are the names of the first 33,000 graduates of Bond University, which I think is absolutely awesome and certainly unique. I've never seen anything like this anywhere in Australia. Let's talk a little bit about the way that studies are structured here at Bond University, because unlike most Australian universities, it's structured on a trimester system. That means that there are 3 main teaching periods throughout the year. A lot of people think about trimesters and they think that means students are going to be have a much higher workload, but in fact the trimesters here are structured a little bit like a traditional semester at another university. They're 13 weeks long, and in fact they're separated by 2-week breaks between them, as well as a 6-week long major holiday at the end of the year. That gives students a lot more studies condensed into a shorter period of time, which allows students to complete their studies on an accelerated track. And that's absolutely unique, the ability to go and do your undergraduate degree in just 2 years. A key item for the university is its teacher to student ratio. This is an important ratio that allows you to understand just how many people are going to be in the classroom with you. And Bond's staff student teaching ratio is an industry-leading 1 in 11. That means every class that you go into, it's going to have a small class size, which gives you better access to your teachers. What does that mean? Well, it means better support in the classroom and in all of your studies as you go through your program. Well, let's talk about some of the other key facilities that you'll find here at Bond University. Firstly, one of the state-of-the-art facilities is the Bond Institute of Health and Sport, the BISH Centre, which allows students who are studying exercise science and physiotherapy and other health-related disciplines to have access to state-of-the-art facilities. It's located about 4 kilometres from the main campus here and has easy access to the train station as well. The sporting facilities here at Bond University really are extraordinary. Just over the back here we have a full-sized Olympic swimming pool, as well as some really amazing sports facilities. And if you're a student here at Bond University, you have free access to the university gym. Not only that, but parking here is also free. So for those people who are watching this and are considering about which university to study at and maybe thinking they have to drive there, this is one of the few institutions in the country where you can park for free. Might not sound like a big deal, but it actually really adds up over time. Another facility that I absolutely love here at Bond are the services and the facilities for budding entrepreneurs. The university is incredibly supportive of entrepreneurial activities, regardless of which discipline you're studying. You've got an opportunity to join the incubator here, and some of the very best ideas that students come up with have actually been funded by the institution to become real-life companies. If you're studying law here, you've got access to 3 separate moot courts, which I haven't seen elsewhere in the country. I know some institutions have 1 moot court, maybe 2, but to have access to 3 separate facilities is really something quite unique. When it comes to rankings, Bond does rank #1 in the country in relation to student experience. That means over 90% of students that come to Bond are happy with their educational experience, and that compares to a national average of around about 80%. The university also performs quite well when it comes to starting salaries and in a whole range of other rankings, such as class size. The class sizes here are small, which means you have better access to your professors and better connection with your classmates too. What else makes it special? You've talked about academics knowing your name. That's amazing. What else?
I feel like there's 2 components to it, the school itself and then the students here. So first I'll touch on the school itself. So the amazing facilities we have for students. When I came here, my parents were like, explain to me how Bond is. I was like, it's a resort. I was like, it's so nice here. We have an amazing sports center where we do group exercise classes like Pilates, kickboxing, all that kind of stuff. Pools, we have a hot tub. So I feel like Bond, there's a hot tub here on campus. It's really nice.
Sorry, I love this, right? Because having been everywhere, I'm always blown away by just these little niche things
that we have.
Quite a pretty cool thing for students to have access to.
It is, yeah. For me, there's a mental aspect that Bond really takes care of their students, and there's a physical. So the physical would be like the gym and having these facilities. The mental would be the free psychological services. So everyone knows therapy costs an arm and a leg. And here, students have it for free. You get 1 hour. I make an appointment every other week. And it's so nice to talk to someone outside of my inner circle and to feel like heard from and to feel like understood. And I think one of the things that my therapist said to me was, Karen, you are under a lot of pressure. You're in law school. And also you moved halfway across the world. You're in a different hemisphere now. Like, it's okay to be stressed, and just having that validation is so nice and having someone to talk to. So I really appreciate that Bond has those facilities for students to be able to help us on both the mental and physical aspect.
What surprised you most about studying here?
The thing that surprised me most, but now that I've been at Bonds, it isn't a surprise at all, is the access to people. There have been times where it's been especially true in my student leadership roles, where I've become really great friends with people like our Vice Chancellor, Registrar, Chancellor, University Council, and just how willing they are to open their door to you.
Well, the sun's going down here at Bond University, and I've had a fantastic day talking with students, checking out everything this institution has to offer. Hear the birds? It's kind of nice. I'm Rob Malicki. See you next time on Choosing Your Uni.